Welcome or welcome back to Game Over Movie Reviews. My name is Peter, and today, after recently releasing my Ranked Horrors of 2021 video, we'll be looking ahead at 15 notable horrors for the rest of 2022. Now, these are 15 films I'm personally excited for or intrigued by, or a little bit of both. And in no particular order, starting off with a film which will have been released by the time this video goes live, and that's Studio 666, starring the Foo Fighters.
Do you guys get this overwhelming sense of death?
The band move into a mansion steeped in grisly rock and roll history to record their much anticipated 10th album. Once in the house, Dave Grohl finds himself grappling with supernatural forces that threaten both the completion of the album and the lives of the band. Like more or less everyone else, I'm a huge fan of Dave Grohl, all things Nirvana, and I'm really into at least the early albums of the Foo Fighters, so I do have a vested interest in this film. I'm pretty sure this is going to be very throwaway, and it has every chance of being a total stinker, but I have to admit I really enjoyed the trailer, and I think Grohl will probably be pretty good in front of camera, down to his natural charisma. Let's not forget he was a great Satan in Tenacious D's tribute video. Also, if there isn't a kill in this film using a monkey wrench, well, what's the point? Next up is the 13th instalment in the Halloween franchise and the 4th and final one in this new canon, Halloween Ends. 4 years after the traumatic events of Halloween 2018, the nightmare ends as Laurie Strode comes face to face with Michael Myers once and for all. Will evil finally die tonight? I thought the 2018 Halloween was pretty solid. I could have done without some of its more silly moments, but overall it was probably my favourite film in the series since that original. Though I do have a soft spot for that third film, but you're not really meant to talk about it.
4 days to Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
And though it was a significant step down and not particularly popular film, I didn't hate Halloween Kills as much as most people, apart from the angry mob stuff and the endless repetition of "Evil dies tonight!" I was at least entertained by Halloween Kills, particularly the badassery of Mike Myers.
Yeah, baby!
A common complaint from that film was how sidelined Laurie Strode was, and I have a feeling and a hope that Halloween Kills will be a pure battle between Michael and Laurie. And I also hope it doesn't try and crowbar in too much silly meta or social commentary stuff.
Try anything and you're cancelled, bro.
Halloween Kills is released on the 14th of October. Hellraiser is a remake of the 1987 classic, returning to reinterpret the source novella, The Hellbound Heart, by Clive Barker. Now, I love the first and second Hellraiser films, and I was a huge fan of Clive Barker's books in my teens and 20s. Very little is known about this remake so far, and I'm always a little wary of these kind of remakes, reimaginings, but what has me very excited for this version of Hellraiser is the creative team behind the film. David Bruckner is directing, who helmed one of my favourite horrors of last year, The Night House. Hellraiser is also written by Ben Collins and Luke Piotrowski, who co-wrote The Night House, and they've adapted the screenplay from a story by David S. Goyer, whose writing credits only include Dark City and Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. Oh.
We have such sights to show you.
Let's hope so. Hellraiser has no confirmed release date just yet, but it's going to Hulu sometime in 2022. Dark Harvest is a fantasy horror film based on the novel of the same name, and it'll be directed by David Slade, whose previous credits include Hard Candy and the hugely underrated 30 Days of Night. And this one has a great premise. Every fall in a small Midwestern town, a supernatural spectre named Sawtooth Jack arises from the cornfields and approaches the town's church, where violent gangs of teenage boys hungrily await their chance to confront the legendary nightmare in an annual harvest rite of life and death. Yes, please. Dark Harvest is out on the 9th of September in the US and the 23rd of September in the UK. In Don't Worry Darling, a housewife living in a utopian community in the Californian desert uncovers a disturbing truth about her seemingly perfect life. This is Olivia Wilde's second film after the very well received Booksmart, and she's teamed up with the writer of that film, Katie Silberman. Not a great deal is known about this one just yet, with the teaser trailer not giving much away, but I'm guessing Harry Styles' character is maybe a murderer or serial killer, something like that. With the Booksmart team on board, it's likely to be full of snappy dialogue, and it'll be interesting to see how this balances thriller horror elements with dark comedy. Don't Worry Darling is due to be released on the 23rd of September. Fresh is the directorial debut of Mimi Cave, and it's written by Lauren Kahn. Frustrated by scrolling dating apps only to end up on lame, tedious dates, Noah takes a chance by giving a number to an awkwardly charming Steve after a produce section encounter at the grocery store. This stars Daisy Edgar Jones, who you might recognise from the TV series Normal People, and the Winter Soldier himself, Sebastian Stan. Fresh premiered at the Sundance Festival in January, and it seemed to create quite a lot of WTF buzz. As you can see, the trailer is pretty cool, and I think we're looking at some kind of cannibal relationship horror comedy. Yes, another one. Fresh is going to Hulu in the US and to Disney Plus in the UK and Ireland on the 4th of March, which is probably a couple of days ago because I do like to procrastinate on these videos. Sorry. Salem's Lot will be the third version of Stephen King's second novel of the same name after Tobe Hooper's TV film series from 1979 and a version from 2004 starring Rob Lowe, which I had no idea existed before making this video. Author Ben Mears returns to his childhood home of Jerusalem's Lot in search of inspiration for his next book, only to discover his hometown is being preyed upon by a bloodthirsty vampire. I'm always up for a King movie, being a big fan of the man himself. I've not read the novel of Salem's Lot, but I have seen the 1979 film a long time ago and recall it being pretty creepy, but maybe a bit dated now. Director Gary Doberman's only other directorial credit is Annabelle Comes Home, so yeah. But it's been a while since we've seen a more classic take on a vampire film, so I am excited by this one. And it's out on the 9th of September. You Won't Be Alone is written and directed by Goran Salevsky in his directorial debut, and it stars Noomi Rapace, who seems to be on a recent resurgence. And this one also has a killer synopsis. Set in an isolated mountain village in 19th century Macedonia, the film follows a young witch who is left to go feral in the woods. Curious about life as a human, she accidentally kills a peasant in the village, then takes her shape to see what life is like in her skin. I'm getting fairly strong The Witch vibes from this one, from the trailer and from the synopsis, and we've had a recent spate of good folk horrors. You Won't Be Alone premiered at Sundance this year and was met with generally good reviews, and it goes on release on the 1st of April. Black Phone is directed by Scott Derrickson, who is no stranger to the horror genre, having helmed Sinister and Sinister 2, and also a little film called Doctor Strange. It's written by Derrickson and C. Robert Cargill, who also wrote the previously mentioned films. And it's based on a short story by Joe Hill, who I'm sure you all know is the son of Stephen King. So I think we can all agree this bodes pretty well. Finney Shaw, a shy but clever 13-year-old boy, is abducted by a sadistic killer and trapped in a soundproof basement where screaming is of little use. When a disconnected phone on the wall begins to ring, Finney discovers that he can hear the voices of the killer's previous victims, and they are dead set on making sure that what happened to them doesn't happen to Finney. It's a good filmmaking team, a cool premise, a very good trailer, and let's throw in Ethan Hawke as a sadistic serial killer. I think we're looking at one of the year's most exciting prospects. Black Phone releases on the 24th of June. I'm throwing in Prey as a wild card hopeful. If you're not aware, this is a prequel to Predator, showing a predator's first journey to Earth. This is directed by Dan Trachtenberg, who directed 10 Cloverfield Lane, a very solid film which Trachtenberg did a great job on in my opinion. In Prey, the brilliantly named Amber Midthunder stars as Naru, a Comanche warrior who protects her tribe against the Predator. I know we're all a little bit burnt by The Predator, and let's not forget that was directed and written by Predator legend Shane Black. But I'm very, very, very cautiously optimistic about this one. No release date for Prey yet, but it is coming to Hulu sometime in 2022. Another one I'm cautiously optimistic about is Evil Dead Rise. A clever little title, as this is the first time that the series has moved away from the woods to a high-rise apartment building. You see what they've done there? It's very clever. Evil Dead Rise is written and directed by Lee Cronin, with this his second film after the relatively well-received The Hole in the Ground, which I haven't seen. Very little is known about the plot of the film other than it features two sisters trying to survive the Deadites. That'll do. Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell are on board as executive producers, so there are some safe hands involved. Again, no release date on this one yet, but it's going to HBO Max in the US, which probably means Sky or Now TV in the UK. X is the new A24 horror from writer-director Ty West, and it stars Mia Goth, a new horror flavour of the month, Jenna Ortega. At a secluded farmhouse in Texas, a film crew arrives to shoot an adult film. Their hosts, a reclusive elderly couple, take a special interest in their young guests, As night falls, the couple's leering interest turns violent. I'll be honest, I've not been a huge fan of West's previous films, but this one does look pretty fun. And we won't have long to find out because X is released on the 18th of March. Men is another A24 horror drama written and directed by Alex Garland, and it stars Jessie Buckley and Rory Kinnear. And that's actually enough for me. I've been really impressed with Garland's films so far, both as a writer and director, and I have the feeling he has an outright gem in him, having been pretty close in the past with Ex Machina and Annihilation. I've loved every single performance I've seen from Jessie Buckley, and Rory Kinnear has also got a huge amount of range. The plot isn't clear as yet, but with that simple and yet provocative title and a very stylish teaser trailer which gave away very little, I'm fully intrigued by this one. Men is released on the 30th of May. You Are Not My Mother is an Irish psychological horror film written and directed by Kate Dolan, and this is Dolan's debut feature-length film. The film stars Hazel Dupe as Char, a young woman at odds with her grandmother Rita after her mother Angela briefly goes missing, only to return soon afterward with a radically changed personality. This is a film I knew nothing about a few weeks ago until I saw the trailer on Twitter, and I'm totally on board. This one looks really creepy and totally up my street. It also generated some decent buzz at the 2021 Toronto International Film Festival, so I'm looking forward to this one. You're Not My Mother releases on the 8th of April. And finally, nope, we're all excited about this one, aren't we? I'll hold my hands up and say, I don't think that Get Out is quite the magnificent masterpiece everyone makes it out to be. It's very good, I like it, it's an 8 out of 10 for me, but I wouldn't put it in the special bracket, although for a debut, it is pretty close. Us was a film of two halves, a great first one and a patchy at best second. But I do really like Peele as a filmmaker and as a person, and just like with Alex Garland, I feel he has a true masterpiece in him. Could it be this one? The poster, teaser and trailer for Nope, which have been released so far, reveal very little and have me very intrigued and very excited. Add in the mega talents of Daniel Kaluuya and Stephen Yeun, and we have my most anticipated horror film of the year. Nope is released on the 23rd of July. So that's it for my most anticipated horrors of the rest of 2022. The year started very polarising for me with the excellent Scream and the not excellent Texas Chainsaw. Oh, that's the name of it. So let me know below which horrors you're most excited for, which ones have I missed, and thanks for watching.
Game over, man. It's game over.